I don't have specifics as to the quantities of these toxic elements, but one can talk about the widespread of these toxic elements in the environment. We can talk about two types. Those that have been introduced into the environment by the miners, which an example is what is the mercury, and the others that are in the environment as a result of the natural causes, but probably facilitated by the activities of these miners. Mercury is used in the gold extraction by these miners. Okay, so wherever you see their activity, you should bear in mind that they are introducing these chemicals. But what is important for us to know about the spread of this chemical, which is toxic to our health and also kills the microbes in the soils which affect the agricultural works that we do, is after they've gone through the amalgamation process, that is adding the mercury to the ore, okay, they can only get the gold out by heating. And through that process of heating, okay, the mercury is converted to metal mercury, which is a gas and gets into the atmosphere. So whilst in the atmosphere, they get back into the soils, into the waters when it rains, or it comes as a residue at some point in time. So often the areas where it becomes serious to consider the impact of the mercury might not be within the exact areas that they do the amalgamation, but the passive people that will be exposed. For instance, when you get these drops of mercury into the water, that water is not going to be polluted. It's not going to be milky, or you will not see it as you will see at the site. At the site, you will see colored water, which you might not want to take them for any household activity. But those that have dropped as a result of what? The heating, okay? The water that you see there will be clean like any normal water. And when people start to take up this water, that is where the mercury poisoning takes place. So often, we need to look at this within the wide world catchment area, not just at the locality of the activity. Yeah. So that is the introduced one. The other one that I want to talk about is the other one I want to talk about. Yeah, you are? Definitely once I've not really investigated into its impacts as far as the climate is concerned. So there I would say, don't let me make any comment that I cannot justify. But what I know is that once the mercury, okay, is released into the atmosphere, it's definitely going to impact on something. People will be inhaling it. So not definitely on the climate, but people that get exposed to it through inhalation and other things. But to climate-wise, I have no idea. It drops. It drops into the soils, into the water bodies, get contaminated. When it comes back, when it gets into the soil, we have water in the soils. You have groundwater, you have infiltrated waters. Okay, so these waters will move them around. That is how the spread increases. Okay, and mercury is mercury. Whether it has been transformed from one to the other, it's still the mercury that you have there. So when your body don't need mercury and then you take it, the consequence of you having it in your system will impact on your health. These are the things that we're talking about. Of fat Not precisely here, but I did some work in Nadore district, Kunche area, where I was looking at how the reusable the soils in the mine out areas, mine out areas can be used for agricultural work. So the area that I look at included where there were an active mining and extraction, and I went beyond it. All that I was trying to establish in that particular study was to find out or to draw conclusion whether the mining activities introduce any elements in there. And from that particular work, it's been published anyway, from that particular work that I did, I realized that the mercury concentrations were around the mining areas. Areas outside the mining areas, the elements that pop up were cadmium, which were identified to be part of the chemical fertilizer that they have been using. So whilst the mining is introducing something, the agric also was introducing something. But you could know the source of contamination, where it's coming from. And once you know the source of the contamination, eliminating it will not be a problem. Yeah. But here, I haven't done any. Okay. I didn't look at the fertility. All that I was trying to establish was the source of what? Of the contamination. Is it because of the miners that we have high concentration of mercury here or not? That was the objective of that.
So did it have an impact on the soil?
Impact, one will have to look at it at another point. But the point I want to make on this impact, you see, when you have mercury in the soil, remember we have some microbes in the soils. It kills them. What does the microbes do? They help in the aeration of the soils and that sort of thing. So once you kill them, you are killing the fertility of the soil, and agric work will not be. That is what I was trying to bring out. Yeah. So you people, you always.
I did agree, so I was just
yeah, to get there.
Anyway, let's look at today's presentation. You heard the residents expressing their concerns. What do you make of all that they were saying? Do you think, I mean, we have a long way to go?
Long way in what sense?
In terms of this illegal mining?
You see, with our language, that is why we use illegal mining, something that had made Ghana the leading #1 producers of gold. From 1493 to 1600, Ghana was the leading producer of gold. And that time, it was this same procedures that they adopted to get Ghana there. Okay? The large-scale mining companies came in the 19th century, and Ghana had never come close to becoming the leading producers of gold. Okay, so the use of the word illegal is something that I don't agree. Maybe illegal in terms of the land season, because there is an institution that presides over the allocation of the concession. So if the people did not go through that process, then it becomes illegal. If that is what you mean by the illegal. Irresponsible, lack of knowledge, my people perish. The Bible says so. Okay? So the question is, have we tried our best to guide them to do the right thing? The answer is no. Okay? Like this chemical that I am talking about, has the industry tried to engage academia to ask them, what can you do about that? Because mercury was found many years ago. Okay? There was a mercury poisoning in Japan that killed a lot of people. So UN banned the use of mercury. Ghana signed to that. However, people are still using it because they don't have any option. There's no alternative. The gold must not stay there. We need it. It must come out at all costs. That is the presentation I made. Something to replace the use of the mercury. We have a cyanide-free chemical. We call it second CFS 100. It's a chemical that we have looked at, okay, and we'll be able to extract gold, okay, The percentage, we've gotten it to be about 97%. And that is eco-friendly. Okay? But we are still discussing this with the Minerals Commission. We've made a first presentation to them. We've given samples to EPA to look at. We are yet to receive their report. And then when we met Minerals Commission, they suggested that we also get a report from Ghana Standard Authority. So when we get all these three, the decision that came at that meeting was that we should do field trials so that the people that are going to use it can say that, yes, this chemical really works, and then we can throw away the use of mercury and cyanide.
It does not have any harmful effect.
I said eco-friendly. You weren't in when I was making the presentation. Those were the analyses that I did. First one was to assess whether that chemical contains no cyanide. And the lab results that we got from ALS, the chemical laboratory, that was perfect. The second one was, you are going to introduce this chemical, you don't know where it's coming from. Has it contained any hazardous elements? And we did that sort of analysis, and that one too was negative. So the third one was, will this chemical extract gold, which will be equivalent to that of what? Of mercury and cyanide being used. And those were the results that I showed to them. And the chemical gave same sample that was splitted into two. The chemical gave 3.025 ppm, that is gram per ton. And then the traditional method, which was the use of sodium cyanide, gave us 2.95. So it tells you that the chemical was even better. And then multiple samples that I collected from the field, and then those that were certified reference materials, I displayed the chart, showed the chemical is an excellent substitute for mercury and cyanide. It's a breakthrough for the mineral industry. It's a breakthrough for the small scale. I think the government can now go and rest. There is a solution. Okay, so what we want is we do some field demonstrations for this artisanal. I've been talking about 1%, this other they might not know. So what we have to provide to them, that when we say 1% of the chemical to this, we need to demonstrate for them to understand it. Okay, we ask of my final word. The final word I will say here is that the formalization is very important, which the government has started. However, I think academia must be involved in doing these things. And things that we do are not just for academic purpose. I work in the mineral industry for 16 years before joining academia, so I'm an industry person more than an academia. And we want to see the mineral industry working. I will want to see Ghana becoming, picking its #1 position. And if it is picking its #1 position, the small scale people, okay, their input is so significant. If you go to Peru, the small scale people are the people that are contributing to the GDP coming from the mining sector. So we buy into the idea, we all jump into it, we get an eco-friendly chemical that can extract the gold, and then we can have our peace of mind that our environment will not be polluted. People that apply it will not get poisoned and then die. We need everybody in one piece. Down here in Ghana is a product that we're getting from China. I got to it because some people came to me with it that we have gotten this chemical that can extract gold and can replace this thing. I had my doubt when it was presented to me. I said, okay, fine. As a researcher, what I need to do is to make sure I can prove it scientifically. Okay, so I set 3 objectives. You said it's cyanide-free, so let me check whether it's really cyanide-free. Okay, so I did qualitative analysis using colorimetric method, and I made ALS. They are recognized global laboratory. I didn't want to do it in a school laboratory where the certification will not be there. So ALS did that one, and then they found out that it was cyanide free. The second thing that we did was, wow, don't you think that this chemical might contain any harmful element which, when introduced into our environment? So we use induced couple plasma spectrometry, ICP-MS method, to check multiple elements, and at the end of it, we recognize that it doesn't contain any harmful element, no matter how it is what is applied in the environment. So in terms of the chemical, which is being branded as a second CFS 100, contains no harmful element, and it contains no cyanide. So the third exercise that was done on it was, is it true that this chemical, when we mix it in water and then we agitate it and then it dissolves and we pass it over the ore, it will be able to extract gold? So there we did some comparative study. One method that is being used at the laboratory is sort of cyanide bottle roll, where they use sodium cyanide. So we pick sodium cyanide, certain quantity of sodium cyanide, and then certain quantity of this chemical. Within 6 hours, the analysis was done at ALS, and then the results were reported to us. And what we saw in the report was that the chemical gave us results that was what? Just about the same as the cyanide bottle roll. The difference between them was 0.124. Okay, and then when you work out the percentage, it was less than 4%. So, looking at the harmful consequences when you use the cyanide, when you use the mercury, and you are getting a chemical that will extract, give you the same, a similar recovery rate, about 97, 96, and it's eco-friendly, then that is the chemical we should go for. And this is something that anybody can handle. You don't change your plant, the system is the same. Just remove the cyanide from it or remove the mercury from it and use this, and then you have your gold.
Programs that the MP wants to introduce. I'm a student of tourism, and once monsoon is closely linked to the gold mining business historically, even up to the present day, I think it's quite progressive. You know, it will become a kind of it will become a kind of homecoming, like all other festivals. For example, like the Koro Festival, where people from all walks of life will come and learn about the history of gold in Manson. I think, you know, the government is calling for an environmentally friendly or sustainable mining. And so once that is done, and many people are roped into the government's program, it will develop a kind of eco-friendly mining system, and many people will definitely come on board. They will participate. People will no longer be afraid, and that will boost the local industry. Once people will be buying and selling, and there will be exchange of money at a shorter interval. That is the multiplier effect. Yeah. It behoves on all participants and all illegal miners to buy into the idea, that is the new way of using the new chemical, so that the hazardous or the effect of mercury and then cyanide on the people will be minimized.
District Small Scale Mining Association, me and I'm founder. At the same time, District Assembly, committee a former good years. Me and I'm saying training, a convener. Now, Jumedi MP, Eddie Baineno, Yamian, Jumano, to me, name members a mine, no, Yeniaso. Yeniaso Ninano, now you only say a beboy, Emma, Caneno, Yesusano, near TCSC, Sicampo, no Sicampo, near him at the bank, in say be a Sicampo, near Canada, you so be a dawa, ye dijari. By any free, no, ye bem news, a former good year yet to know. Good, no, your fairness. By no question, and good news, I could do be to say, so or small scale mining. So, you know, no pen for small scale mining. Only my friends small scale mining. The Omakazi Galamsey, say din galamsey no so na amanyosemuti akoye se ubodin ye se de sebi uton enubone ne no ne yesre mp say dwumadi a wode aba no me ne me minus I one district higher man say west de asum ne mu yesre ne say won hwe ne wontua na mompa e beboa ma small scale minus no so no dwumadi na yedi no e be koto ten na mebre na empanifo na nanom de ahyese e be di saa afahye ne dua menyi ni so ba kopra besia akwa no da be di saa afahye no ye ne a minus na no ye nim ne yetimi ye ye be ya amana boro so e betimi aboa bibia mu minim yi esese yekosi akan a akanse na yekosi no eho niema na bi na edi siso so wa be di nkunim no una abefa ye nkobo ball wa bele be wie akwakofa anka dia be so no di nkunim ne mo ball no jersey ana football eda so it is a mining na ye kan wasansi be di sika afahye dia ene ne yesre mp say oboye mi etimi ye mining ne ye ne yie wa bra kire kire bia nim obi etimi ye ne kwan paso dia ebeboa ama yense betimi sika okoni bia be kire ama wiase afa na nyina enwu sampa sika kokko na ya kan waso ga na aka ne fen gokos no iframanse west aye manson kwanta empotem ha ne fira ekoduro menua to me ya me jono si am ye miner am ye adwumani bi me sa chemicals ene na mete ho asem no kure de ba ko na mum sɛdeɛ na me DC kasa wɔka ya no sɛ ebrepɛ mu no oba no ne yɛn betrase one minus ni nyina ahyia no wɔkyerɛkyerɛ mu yɛn different between one ne deɛ ɔde ba ne ne yusu ndada no ne yɛ magine me ne hu sɛ we ne mu odu we ne betimi aboa ense we ne fi sɛ bɛboa ne yɛdwumadie no a yɛbɛfa ba satro me no kasa deɛ med ne kura ne boarding bɛde na makonya med akɔhwie agu asase so enti nsɛm bi wɔ no kwasɛm no yɛnka no kora nkyɛ amanyɔfo sɛ nsɛm bi wɔm de hyɛ asɛm no mu ka kyerɛ na nanom ne wɔm ati ɔman no a ɛyɛ nsɛm a me ka ne straight sɛ ɛnyɛ no korɛ med boarding med akɔfa med na kɔhwie agu nsuo sɛ med ne nkɔkwa biso bi bia yɛ man na sɛ med paa no ketua bi te sɛ ɛtɔ no 100 cities ɔte asɛ ntu bɛyɛ de kɔhwie med no akɔgu nsuo mu enti to me no me sɛ kɔ me site a me wɔ bo kɛseɛ so anum na metwa me brak eti nya dia med na ɛkɔ asase so nti ɔne de ɔde bae ne yɛn so de yɛ adwuma yɛn na brɛ pam na ni hyia ɛne be hu no kore wɔ mu na sisi am no kan de me de no me nyini
from Stephen Kofi Ahin na kakra me srɛ me fa dwumadie so akwanya yi de asrɛ aban ɛne ne mpanimfo no sɛ Ghana yɛn program yɛ man ya yɛ na no ayɛ illegal man nkwan yɛ na de ma yɛ sɛ na me srɛ aban sɛ ye hia aban bɔ ho dawura wɔtu yɛ so sa ɛyɛ small scale man wɔtu yɛ so sɛ na yɛ yɛn sensio ɛne ne nkata so na me gina sa dwumadie so asrɛ aban sɛ ɔmɔmɔde no ɔmɛboa yɛ wɔnsɔ minus asene ɛnɛ yɛ ha afidie 8 hours 35 million ɛyɛ 35,000 ɛyɛ 335 million misrɛ sɛ wohai sɛ ɔyɛ mining na wohai saa machine na 8 hours otua 35 million what o diesel ubawie no oka oya adwuma 8 hours ho ka bro 60 million untimi enya brand kata asase ne so edi me say the government any MPs ni DCs no entrance na mining alias na ye miners no aba no emre excavators say aba excavator e wo form be say be 2500 na government ni blade those can ho a e be district be higher ye was excavators be 30 ye kuta e be those be 5 and this over this to have a district a government there na e be aban de my 25,000 it is our fund start 25 million na e kanis kana obetimi de aye adwuma no akata so enam say government afidie na wo site out the adwuma no inspectors beba abehwe say adwuma a wo ye enti wo utwa pit ba ko mienu miensa enan a esa wo san ba district na district na ma odoza na de kokata wachi na district na stand wo betimi enam say government machine wo wa wo de adwuma no wo beba front ni ebehwe say ya ma wo nya adwuma ensensuo no ebehwe say ya ma wo nya adwuma no emfa enya amana no ho no enko go ye nimu abanya video before say video ni mfiri wono na DC MP ta mo ho no ene this assembly na make sure say why adwuma kata wa amana so nti Mr. Government say obekoye mo am yetimi oman no atimi aye adwuma na ye ne ye di a omo boa ye machines on so yasene na omo ye machines enfamre DCs ne MPs ne district bia ye mani bia no omre machines na yan kwa hai enfamfiri woni enfanya adwuma na basa aban bo no kofoma ebema ye ho haye am yetimi aye adwuma kata ye chi aye ne said yen sense obi bia ye ni ade a me gina so de sre government